Hello, and welcome to my presentation on Japanese anime. What this is about is a look into the medium of Japanese anime and how it relates to ethics. Alright, so to start things off, let me go over what anime is. Anime is a type of cartoon that is originally Japanese. This means that it uses a very unique art style that is, when you see it, you know, it's a type of art style that when you see it, you know it's Japanese. So it's very unique. It's different from what we see in the West. And also, they're cartoons, but unlike cartoons in the West, which are more focused on comedy, and like it's more common to have comedic types of cartoons in the West. Anime tends to focus on all the genres that a normal TV show would focus on here in the West, so it's a bit more unique in that aspect compared to other forms of entertainment. So why is anime popular? In Japan, anime is not really that popular amongst everyone. It mostly appeals to children and young adults, just like cartoons here in the West. You know, these shows, they show things that kids can relate to, or kids find really entertaining. So adults tend to just grow out of it, kind of like cartoons here in the West. As far as watching anime here in the West, it's a bit more popular here in that it explores the Japanese culture, even though it's a cartoon. So when people watch anime here, they see things being explored that they're not used to, and different things that are custom in Japan. Even though the shows are about whatever they may be about, they still take into account Japanese traditions and customs in their works. And so people are kind of exposed to that when they watch it, and it's one of the things that people are most interested in when watching anime, because it does make it different than your average TV show. Okay, to get into the ethics, to start things off, I'm going to go over the accessibility of anime and how that really ties into what defines the ethics behind anime. As far as accessibility goes, that's the most difficult thing about anime, actually watching it. You have channels and international channels that some people might have access to be able to watch the shows, but it won't be translated, and so unless they have a deep understanding of the language, reading it and writing it, they probably won't get the full experience enough to actually enjoy the show. So this is remedied through localization companies like Funimation Entertainment and Sentai Filmworks, which acquire licenses for these shows and release the content with either translations, or they redo the cast in English and redistribute the anime. So they replace the old Japanese voiceovers. This is also pretty nice because the English voice actors can change some of the traditional stuff that people might not understand, and make it a bit more Western oriented, but they'll still stay true to what defines the anime as far as Japanese culture goes. Okay, to get into the unethical sides of things, the problem with localization companies is that they only license anime that are fairly popular in Japan. So if people want to watch certain shows, they won't have access to their English dubs, and so have to resort to other means to get them. And the way that most people have responded to this is through use of fan subbing or fan translations, which third-party people acquire the shows online through recorded content that's uploaded, and people who understand Japanese would just write the translations for them as subtitles. And this content is only available through torrenting means most of the time, so it's unethical in the fact that you are pirating content. So there's no revenue being made for the localization companies or the original developers. This creates an issue because this is the most common way that people watch anime nowadays, is actually through torrenting. So it is illegal, but it's more of a copyright law. So law enforcement is not as strict about it as lawyers are. So if you don't get caught, which most people don't, they're in the clear, which is a problem because this makes it harder to make anime successfully released here in the West through localization. Another issue is the price of localized anime. The reason why most people resort to torrenting is actually because localized releases are quite expensive. If you were to buy Blu-ray or normal DVDs of shows that have already been aired and localized, they can be quite pricey depending on which company localized it. So it's out of a lot of people's budgets, and so they resort to torrenting. But this just creates a chain reaction in the issue, because if they continue to torrent, then there isn't any money to go around to actually support those localized releases. And finally, there are some ethical things that can come out of anime. Piracy does lead to a loss of revenue, but there could be some benefits that could arise. Some could argue that when you torrent an anime that's not localized, you're not actually hurting anyone, and that you're not like the original developers aren't expecting to make any profit in the West because there's no licenses acquired yet, and they know that it's not being sold in the West, so they're not expecting any revenue to come from there. And since no localization company has picked it up, those companies aren't losing money either because they haven't spent a license on it yet. There's also people who watch torrented anime. They actually like the show so much that they go out and buy the localized releases just to either support the company or have a collection for those means, which actually benefits in that the localized releases are actually purchased and revenue is being thrown around. This has been proven true by other shows that are popular in the West, like Game of Thrones. It was actually labeled as one of the most torrented shows in the West, but the producers actually saw an increase in the purchase of their DVDs for the seasons. So there's actually two ways you can look at watching anime and how it relates to ethics, and it's really up to you to decide if you think what you're doing is ethical or not ethical. And you could either purchase anime or torrent it, or both. It's really up to you. Thank you, and take care.